Hey guys, how are you all doing? In today's video, I want to discuss this topic. Um, it's talking about intrusive thoughts, right? So there was a question that was asked of me, and that question involves like, how do you deal? Well, first of all, it was actually, do you have intrusive thoughts? Which the answer is obviously yes. Who doesn't have intrusive thoughts? But the second question that came after it was, well, how do you deal with intrusive thoughts, right? First of all, let me tell you guys something. Intrusive thoughts are normal, right? They're not something that is abnormal. They're not something that you should be so worried about, so concerned about. A lot of people think that, oh my gosh, like I have these intrusive thoughts. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to like shut my mind off or keep praying to Jesus and all these thoughts are going to go away. Don't worry about it so much, right? Because we all have intrusive thoughts. That's normal, guys. The only time when it's not normal is if those thoughts are increasing in number and intensity, right? So usually those two go together. It's usually not just the number or just the intensity. They usually go together, and they kind of build off of each other. And so, in that case, what should you do, right? Well, the first thing that I would recommend, highly recommend, as the first option is to go see a therapist, right? Because a lot of times people waste their time just trying to be mentally tough or, like block things out of their minds or, like pray to Jesus, cast out the demon. Those are all temporary solutions, right? Now, notice I didn't say those are useless solutions. I said those are temporary solutions. The solution, the best solution that will solve that issue for you is if you go see a therapist and they will help you to break down why do you think like that, right? And why you have those recurring thoughts. And it depends on what kind of thoughts they are. So when I say intrusive, I'm assuming it means like negative, right? Because you wouldn't mind if positive intrusive thoughts come to your head, but usually when those thoughts are very negative, they're depressing, they cause you anxiety, it is very important to take care of those thoughts before they get out of control and they start to dominate you and overwhelm you, right? So that's one thing. Now, is there room for spirituality in this? Like, could it be something that is spiritual? It's not necessarily social or psychological, but it's something that's spiritual. Yes, absolutely. And how do you know then? Right? So how do you know that your issue is psychological or it's spiritual? Well, a lot of times these things go together, right? Illnesses, even physical illnesses, have some sort of spiritual dimension to them. Nothing is just purely biological, purely psychological, purely spiritual. Anybody who thinks like that, they're treading on very, very dangerous territory, right? Because we have to acknowledge the reality of all three aspects of our existence. We are biological, psychological slash social, and spiritual slash soul beings, right? And so we have to make sure that we, first of all, acknowledge the reality, that reality, and only then can we understand and develop that discernment on, okay, this part is more psychological, this part is more spiritual, right? And spiritual stuff have more to do with sin, right? So the spiritual aspect is going to be something that oftentimes, here's how you know something is a spiritual problem, is if you notice that you're pulling away from God because you're doing that thing, right? So that is one major sign that, hey, you know what, this is a spiritual issue. You have to pray to God and read the Bible, get discernment on this issue, right? Now, here's what is not spiritual, right? If you have negative thoughts, that is not a spiritual issue, right? If you experience depression or anxiety, that is not a spiritual issue. That is a psychological issue. So while reading the Bible and praying will definitely help you, that is not the solution to your problems, right? Um, so it is very important that you see a counselor when you start feeling like that. Um, so don't be foolish and try to make everything into a spiritual battle. It is not actually. A lot of things have nothing to do with violating commandments or sinning or anything like that. So just because some two things happen at the same time, it does not mean that it's caused by sin. There is a famous scientific dictum that as scientists, both social and natural scientists, we believe, which is what? Correlation does not equal causation. Let me repeat it for you guys one more time. So this is Science 101. Correlation does not equal causation, right? So just because you happen to be depressed and sinning at the same time, it does not mean that your depression is caused by your sin, right? This is a very shallow way of thinking. So obviously, pray to God, ask Him for discernment, and God will reveal to you what you have to do. But God is under no obligation to heal you right there. That's why we have doctors, we have medicine people, we have counselors, we have financial advisors, we have lawyers, we have all these people to help us with our problems. And we're not just sitting around with our Bibles and praying for a building to come up, praying for the plants to sprout, praying for our anxiety and our depression to go away, praying for more money in the bank. There are a lot of things that we have to do on our own, and that requires personal responsibility. But when you're hiding and you're just praying and reading the Bible and expecting everything to go away, that is an extreme form of laziness and complacency, and you're not going to get anywhere by doing that, right? I hope this was helpful to you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.